How's she going, boys? Mike here, welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. It's always nice to have visitors in the shop, so thanks for dropping by and making this a good day. Today's little project is about my right angle grinder. The other day I was doing a video about repainting the roof of my tractor, and I had my right angle grinder out grinding the paint off the rust spot that was there. Anyway, I had a comment from a viewer, Dean from Tomoko's Enterprises. Dean has a really good channel, and Dean knows a lot about technology. So if you're interested, check out his channel, Tomoko's Enterprises. I'll leave a link for Dean's channel down below, or no, I'll put it up here. And you can watch, Dean's got a nice channel. He does a lot of silversmithing, pouring, melting and pouring silver. But he knows a lot about technology. So check him out if you have any questions. I'm sure he'd love to answer them, because that's just the kind of guy Dean is. He wants to help wherever he can. Anyways, Dean, when he was watching my video, he heard my right angle grinder going, and he suggested that maybe the gearbox on it was a little bit low on grease. He said he's seen that before, where right angle grinders, the gearbox would wear out on them, and when they took them apart they found out they wore out because there was hardly any grease left in them. So what we're going to do today is going to take my right angle grinder, put it over there on the bench, take her apart and have a look at the gearbox, just see what kind of condition it's in. So let's go do that. So here's my grinder that I was using the other day to do the roof on my tractor. And like I was saying, Dean from Tomoko's Enterprises, he made a comment that maybe the gearbox is sounding a little dry. So good old Dean. Dean knows so much about everything. He just amazes me. I'd like to spend an afternoon with him, because I would learn 10 times more than I know now just in one afternoon talking to Dean, I'm sure. But anyway, what Dean suggested is that we take this gearbox apart just to check the amount of grease that's in that gearbox. So that's what we're going to do. I'm unplugged now, so I'm just going to lock the roller so I can take the floppy disk off it. Something like that. Then we can take the guard off. Oh yeah, look, it's keyed on there. There's a couple little indentations in that guard that keys it so that it can come off. Alright, so now look at that, she's a bit on the dirty side. So we'll clean up some of this dirt to limit the chances of it getting in the gearbox when I take the cover off it. Doesn't look too bad. Let's try and get this cover off now then. I've never had this apart before. I've never greased the gearbox in one of these right angle grinders, so we'll see what we can find out here if we take this off. You never know what we're going to get into. What kind of trouble can we get into here, I wonder? So that just pulls right off. And if we examine that closely, there is grease in it, but not a lot. These teeth around here, they're pretty dry, really. And if you look at this gearbox, the grease right there, it's kind of dirty looking, almost like it's burnt. Grease getting burnt, that's strange. But I'm just going to put a little bit more in there. You know, it can't hurt, as long as you don't overfill it. If you overfill it, I think that's a problem. But I'm a long ways from overfilling it here, so I just want to put a little on it to make sure that this gear here gets some grease put on it. So I think rather than run the risk of contaminating different types of grease, I'm just going to take some of this grease that's in the bottom here and put it on this spur gear. Just that way I can ensure that that gear is going to get some good grease on it, because there seems to be lots of grease in that enclosure. It's just not getting where it needs to get. So we'll spread some around here. these grinders aren't very old, like only, and I don't use them a whole pile, but when they're used, they get used like steady, right? It's not like a drill where you turn a drill on for a couple of minutes and then you shut it off and it just sits there. The grinder, when you start this up, like you're grinding for 3 or 4 or 5, 6 minutes or 10 minutes or more at a time, right? So the duty cycle is a lot longer. Alright, so that's that. And this is the shaft on this right angle drive. Just sits in this. It's just a bronze bushing. So I'm going to take some of that grease and just set it down in there. Can't hurt anything either. And then this goes back in place, something like so. Now there's an interesting thing. See, as I push down, that pushes it back up. There's no spring in there, so the only thing I can figure is that there's air compressing where this where the shaft goes down in the bushing. So we'll have to live with that, I guess. So we'll put this back together. I'm going to put this back on without the guard. I'm not advocating that you run it without the guard, but I'm just going to try it here. Okay, let's see what this sounds like now. I believe that made a difference. I'm just going to open this up again and just see what the gearbox looks like now that I've moved that grease around inside. So the grease is around the spur gear here pretty good, or the pinion gear, I guess. But anyways, I think that's going to be okay. Put it back together and I think that'll work good for us. One reason I like having the guard on is a lot of people don't put the guards back on. I like having the guard on because after I run the grinder and then stop, I can just set it on the bench. Watch. And the guard keeps the wheel from hitting what you set the grinder down on. So that's good. Well, thank you, Dean. Boy, that gearbox, it wasn't dry of grease, that's for sure, but the grease wasn't really getting to the spots that it needed to get to. So we kind of moved that grease around a little bit there and it helped a lot. So Dean from Tomoko's Enterprises, his link is up here. Check him out, he's a great channel. Dean can help you. That's all I'm going to say. And thank you, Dean. And thank you too for watching. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you dropped by. I hope you come back often. Don't forget, thumbs up me. I love getting comments too, so load her up. And hope you all have a good week. We'll talk to you.